yourself so that we do get to know each other.
Good morning. My name is Subhashri Sunashita and I'm research scholar in FAKIR University and in PhD Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. My guide is Professor Dr. Bhakti.
Good morning, everybody. This is Prashant Pilasumaka. I am doing my PhD in MOHAN University Balasore under the guidance of Dr. Karan on the theme of environment and the media studies.
Hello, good morning everybody. I am Amrita Kundu and I am doing my research under Professor Bharatibala in FM University Balasore.
Good morning everyone. My name is FAKIR. I am also a PhD from the University of Hyderabad in Political Science and currently in Unicef. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. Myself Janani Sen. I am working as a research scholar under Urban Drive Migrant People Project at ICMR. Good morning everyone. My name is Rishka Jana. I am working in ICMR as a research project and my working area is social determinants of health and society.
Good morning, everyone. I am Swarajita Mandal and my area is unhealthy food behaviors among adolescents and young adults. And I am from ICMR RMRC under the supervision of Dr. Shubhendra Kumar.
Good morning everyone. My name is Arpita Panda. I am pursuing my PhD under Dr. Shubhendra Kumar Acharya from ICMR RMRC Bhubaneswar. My major area of research is socio-behavioral aspect of sickle cell disease. I am recently working among the sickle cell patient and their caregiver in context of odisha.
Good morning everyone. My name is Susangita Jain. I am doing my PhD in ICMR University Bhubaneswar and my area of research is tribal mental health.
Good morning everyone. My name is Sudhanshu Das. I am continuing my PhD under Bharatibala. I am PhD in media convergence and localization process, a case study of Odisha state.
Hello everyone. I am Yamanjan Das, General Assistant of the University.
Hello. Good morning everyone. This is Hemanta Pradhan, a PhD scholar of MOHAN University. I am doing PhD under Professor Bharatibala. Presently working in the science community.
Good morning everyone. This is Sangeeta Agarwal, a PhD scholar at Kids School of Mass Communication and also a senior editor on Commons.
Good morning everyone. Myself is Sartalaki. I am a media consultant with Unicef, also pursuing my PhD under Dr. Jain Panda from Bharatibala University.
Good morning everyone. I am Swagil Rao, research scholar of the University under Bharatibala. I am senior journalist of OT.
Good morning everyone. My name is Mr. Dhirendra Kumar Behra. I am presently working as an assistant professor in the PG Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at FAKIR University and also doing research there. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. I am Dr. Jain Panda. I am the assistant professor at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Balasore University. My thrust of work is primarily I am working on differently abled, climate change communications and AI.
Good morning everyone. I am Dr. Ramika Shankar Misra, Associate Professor at HOD Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, the Ramadevi Women's University, Bhubaneswar. My area of expertise is new media and development communication and health communication.
Good morning everyone. Myself Amrita Mukherjee. I am a PhD research scholar of Balasore University under the guidance of Professor Ganesh Shetty and also a state aided college center of West Bengal.
Good morning to all of you. Distinguished dignitaries of the dais.
my colleagues, research scholars, and once again good morning to all of you. This is Professor Ganesh Chetty from Balasore University. I am professor over there in Balasore University, and my first area of research development, communication, public relation, even research methodology also. So once again, thank you very much for the organizing committee for inviting me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Deliberation. I am currently the coordinator of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at Adolescents University. My thrust areas are communication theory, communication psychology, and social psychology. So thank you and welcome to you all.
So good morning everyone. I am Dr. Santosh Kumar Biswar, and I am a faculty member from Ramadevi Women's University. And currently I am working on technology, especially artificial intelligence, for social change and communication. Thank you all. And get to see my colleagues here, and moreover, there are a lot of seasoned journalists turning, academician. It's a great asset to the Odisha media fraternity. Thank you once again to all of you.
I think we'll introduce the dice eventually, so I think we'll have a formal welcome. Thank you so much. And I would also like to mention here that Professor Santosh is also co-editor of the book which will be released today. So just another piece of information that we wanted to share.
Namaskar everybody. My name is Lopamudra Tripathi, and I work as a social and behavior change specialist in Unicef Delhi office with Dennis. I have a PhD in social science and political science, and my focus of work at that point of time was on understanding communities and societies through literature and myths. So I worked on the tribal populations and the underprivileged populations of a comparison between Odisha and UP. Yeah, that's more or less, because of this August audience of only academics, I thought it's important to introduce my subject as well. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all of you. I'm Shubhatula. I'm the social and behavior change specialist at Rupa in Odisha. I hold a PhD in cognitive perceptions in ending open defecation. And this was a study I did it in Tamil Nadu among the tribal community.
Thank you so much everyone for the introductions. Clearly an honor to have all of you amongst us today. The idea for today is to spark new intentions and get the conversation, we've started the conversation but get it going again. And we have amongst us some of the professionals from Unicef, and to formally introduce them, I would request Professor Bharti Bala Patnaik, HOD Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, FM University, to deliver the welcome address.
Welcome, good wishes to all to our one-day state-level workshop on role of academic institutions in strengthening social behavior change landscape for women, children and adolescents in Odisha. Respected Professor Santosh Kumar Tripathi, Vice Chancellor, FAKIR University. Respected Davis Christian Larson, SPC Chief Unicef. Prashant Das, Chief Field Office Unicef Odisha. Dr. Sugata Rai, SPC Specialist. And the staffs of Unicef and the professors and associate professors and assistant professors and research scholars. And today we will discuss behavior change communication. What is this behavior change communication? It is interactive and intervention process with the individual, groups and communities that develop communication strategies to promote positive behavior suited to their social context. And it is also creates a supportive behavior for behavioral change. In our master degree syllabus, subject, development communication. In development communication, it is very important to know what is the strategy of development communication and how to design the message and the role of media for development communication. 1 year back, our FAKIR University Journalism and Mass Communication Department and Unicef collaboratively organized a workshop. The communication officers are participated in this workshop and they have collected information near the FAKIR University. And this survey report says that the information with them, they know what is the importance of hand wash, but they are not utilized in day-to-day their lives. But now we have also conducted one research near the FAKIR University. The village name is Sano Kariyapada. It is a tribal village. But the tribal women, they have changed their attitudes and behavior. If they suffer any health issues, they prefer to go to the hospital. See, these changes are already coming into our tribal localities also. According to Bertrand and Becker, they distinguish IEC and BCC. IEC is information, education and communication. BCC is behavior change communication. IEC is one way, and another is it is a message focus. But in BCC is outcome oriented and emphasis participation, motivation are central to the behavior change process. Then, what is the importance of behavioral model in behavior change communication? It improves how social and behavior change is understood and supported. My study recently I have done near the tribal village. The findings says that the evidence-based data indicates that most of the behaviors of tribal women in the Sanakaliyapada have changed in healthcare of both mother and children. Blind beliefs and traditional pattern of delivery of baby and diet for pregnant lady have changed due to the influence of Ashakarmi and Anganwadi. It is totally based on interpersonal communication and non-verbal communication. What is interpersonal communication? It is very friendly and they can exchange their views with their local neighbors. And most of the cases, the senior member of tribal family also advise them in a right way that is helpful for both prenatal and postnatal care of the childbirth. Tribal women prefer consult doctor for any health issues. Interpersonal communication and non-verbal communication are the effective ways of communication. This survey data indicates that the behavior change for health issues is helpful for grassroots level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting the context for today's discussion. We can't emphasize enough the role of Unicef in advancing social and behavior change. Just to mention that we have an SBC chief present today and 2 SBC specialists. So that speaks a lot about the kind of importance social and behavior change gets in Unicef and the importance and its value that it holds in the entity. So who better than the person who is at the helm of affairs at Unicef Odisha to speak about it. May I please request Mr. Prashant Das ji to address all of us.
Thank you. You are in the mic, I can speak. You can hear me out. Good morning. In the outset, let me start thanking Dr. Naik, the head of Journalism and Mass Communication of the University, Dr. Vishal, Associate Professor, Journalism and Mass Communication from the University, who has been the coordinator of all these bodies, faculty members, and from other universities. I could see a lot of faculty members from other universities. I'm really happy that it is happening. Why this workshop? I think you can think why UNICEF is coming up this kind of workshop. We want SBC, I think there's given some names. SBC should be understood by everybody in this country. And I think this is first of its kind happening in Odisha. I think this is saying that you are to take this to other part of the country. I think I see, Mom also has given some background differences between what is an IC and what is BCC, and now the BCC part is really advanced in behavioral sciences, behavioral insights. There is a lot of research happening globally around. So, and we all know how important, without adversity, if we meet the problems, it's human practice. So, what is that is stopping you from practicing? So, this is what SBC and behavioral sciences and insights entail. So there is evidence to say that the behavioral sciences and behavioral changes can really impact academic village schooling. So if there are results possible, if you do XYZ in a particular way. So our UNICEF's role is to make sure that it reaches to all the universities in the state, and all of you to design something around. Not necessarily a workshop in Swasti, but necessarily a workshop with the students. And we want behavioral sciences, behavioral insights to be understood by everybody and to be practiced. Understanding level, I think we know is something good. हमको सब पढ़ना आता है, हमको सब समझना आता है, but how much we do is a bit of a question for us. So, and we are a very critical group of people. I think I'm the only guy who got a PhD here. PhD or pursuing a PhD. I was not intended to pursue a PhD because this is too much for me to render a PhD. So you are the students in the country. So think how we can really make impact in behavioral change. And within this hotel, the 5-star hotel, people or big, I think rich people staying here, the type of behavior is there. And go to a village and see what type of behavior is there for them. They don't find a lot of differences. Because it is so ingrained in our culture, so ingrained in ourselves, it's very difficult to change. Even if you grow, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will change. How many of you cook? So, it's a very simple question. How many of was vegetables before cooking? And how many of was vegetables after cutting? No? After cutting? Why? What is the idea? Before chopping, you should put this in as much as you can. You can put them hours together. If you think that there's a lot of pesticides, you can take it. First of all, you should buy them. Second, if you buy them, you should put them in water for as long as possible. If you look at when we have kids, the members were eating, at them, because they are getting to eat just to block in the member. I think about orders of things mango and put in the water for quite some time. It's not that there is a toxicity or pesticides, but mango is very important as a food. So just to cool it down, put it in the, that time we use and explorer, which is available, they will come in bulk and put into a bucket of water for those are almost gone from our landscape, and we are, and if sir, with all his exposure and experience can wash vegetables something like that. But इनके बाद सर उसका सारांश निकल आया, उसको भी अपने दूध दिया. So you are basically eating some starch.
Actually, after cutting, there are many salad. There will be many salad. You will complement the
vegetables are gone, which will go.
And typically, there is vitamin C. We use
everything. So you just eat something to fill your stomach. Yes. You are not getting anything to get anything out of that food. That's a different topic we can discuss, but I think the best way is to wash it before chopping and then cooking. So these are simple things. Look at those kind of simple things, which is behavior. And Sahar has been kind of putting in, but we have such kind of players within us that it's not change. So that's called behavior change. So this is the difference between an AC and a BCC. So we want that kind of behavior change, which is very hard. And we have seen the Swachh mission. I think all of you know the Swachh story in the country. We have put very good progress. I think commendable. I have gone to other countries if you want their story. But the way we push things, I think the way the behavior change also happened, the way water is available, yes, but still there is a last mile. So those resources sitting on both sides will agree with there is still a last mile. They are not going to the toilets. Even if water is available, they prefer to go out. But it is late kind of thinking that has gone. So I have not gone to toilet in my life, why should I go now? So that's the kind of logic you talk to them and you get them. So if you are spending that kind of time in villages, so if you are spending that kind of villages for your study, please do look at this kind of strong behavioral insights, how people are rejecting such good ideas with their own belief. So, and we know that some of those social indicators are not great. Our MMR is highest in the country. Once upon a time, we were very, very close. Now it's 150, we got up 1 lakh climbers. Newborn mortality is also 32. Our government members. 1/3 of the children are stunted. What do you mean by that? हम तीनों बैठे हैं, so ये तीनों से एक कोई स्टंटेड होगा. तो हम 4 लोग बैठे हैं, so उसमें से कोई एक व्यक्ति अपना स्टंटेड निकलेगा. उसके साथ कोई बिहेवियर जुड़ा है? स्टंटिंग के साथ कोई बिहेवियर जुड़ा है हमारा? It's behavior. Stunting happens in the womb. The mother is anemic, the father is anemic, and they have a baby. So they should have taken more time to make sure that they are strong enough, their BMI is good, their hemoglobin level is good before getting into a baby. So nobody is thinking those. So that's also behavior. And stunting is very determinant. So whenever there is a stop, we will also talk about stunting. But behavior is definitely big. And our social cultural practices, the female will, I don't know how many days, will not eat eggs for how many days, not eggs, eat eggs for how many days. We have all those things, but the body needs them. As a result, we are producing standard with who will not able to study properly, who will not able to earn properly. So what we have given to next generation? A lot of things that is to stunting. 65% of the adolescent girls in the state are anemic. 62% of the pregnant women are anemic. So what do you produce? An anemic woman can only produce a boy or a girl. And that boy or girl will not able to concentrate in the classroom because he or she is anemic. So if you are not able to concentrate in the classroom, your learning level will be definitely low. Your study outcome will be very low. Because we are not addressing our behavioral insights, we it's not normally odisha, the odisha, we have one seat, we have food availability everywhere. And if you are really interested, nutrition and food are two different things. Nutritious food is also available. So but why we are getting into 65% of the adolescent girls? Once when I was studying this course, we did anemia testing from all the secretaries in Chhattisgarh. And the chief secretary was not very keen because if you go to the media, she was not very keen that I should do this, but I somehow convinced him, sir, हम भी और पीछे वाला गेट में करेंगे, चलो क्या करो? तो half of the secretaries found to be selected. And large part of the secretarial pool who supports the secretaries and everybody, ministers and everybody there. And we did a similar thing in our office, in our Chhattisgarh office. 80% of us were. And if we do a kind of testing here, I think many of us will be found to be eligible. Because you don't eat the right food at the right time, nor do anything else. So these are all behaviors. And what is happening now, if you look at our budgets now, they're largely infrastructure. I think this group and people like these many groups, because we have so many universities sitting here. We have Ravensra, we have Ramadan University, we have Balasore University, and we have the FAKIR University, and you are from the north, south, everywhere. So we can really change this time and paradigm in this. If we create a lot of behaviors and create more and more like on these lines. And obvious software soft skill के ऊपर ज़्यादा focus नहीं करना क्योंकि you want to grow faster, you want to do become a technically economy. These are all good, but at the same time, these soft issues which is our human capital should also be emphasized. So I will urge everybody to do a software aspect so that we create the best human, leave the best human resources for our next generation. And I firmly believe that the academic institutions and research are a big impact. And I'm so happy to say many of you are writing those analysis. So your mail can do a lot of difference there and anything else. And the friends sitting there from types of media, I'm asking them to write on behavior change. It's a friendly request. So think those issues are never highlighted. I think issues like other things get very easily highlighted. But behavior change is never highlighted. Behavior change never get a space. And you mentioned this days, we used to work with many actors, I think around 15-20 of them, and I used to negotiate them. Give a space for health education, nutrition, newspaper. But time is now reached to keep a space for behavior change. We have reached to that stage. Unless we change the behavior, the next generation is going to suffer. We want our next generation to suffer. And also, some examples to generate evidence. We need to really generate evidence to talk. Rather than just talking or just writing, bring evidence to the table. And we have two stalwarts sitting on the right, Lopa, and pick their brains, Lopa and Sugata, pick their brains, what sort of evidence is available, where it is available. And I could hear some of them are from RMRC. RMRC has done a study of latest data is available from RMRC in terms of the tribal population. So you can also see the data. I don't know whether it's in public or only RMRC can use it. So let me see. That's it. He's not here. Okay. So there's come with evidence that if you do XYZ, this kind of behavior, this is going to be the outcome. So come with some kind of a logic to explain people how and why behavior is very critical for us. And I think Nali sent me a very good chart saying that why only mass come. Why can we talk to students from sociology? Why can we talk to students from even physics, chemistry, even medical colleges? So we have to think on those lines. But I think if you can write, I think there will be many subscribers coming to, not subscriber means the bottom class subscriber. I'm saying that idea subscribers will come to you saying this is a good idea to teach, this is a good idea to write. Why don't you write that story that I'm saying 3 minutes like that? One village, it's not a bad story to write. The one village, how to behavior change can really impact on the social sector outcomes. And I also have this young scholars from this side. Please do think of those things while you're doing your research. I know you have a particular thesis or hypothesis to prove, but also think how your research can be behavioral aspects. And I think I'm thinking about that, but I'm really liking those ideas. The group that Dr. Subodha has put together, and congratulations to Subodha. I think it's a very critical mass, and it should be, this much to be start with. But I'm really looking for that it should go places. It should go to all the universities, it should go to all the department heads and bring them. So I will give you a quick example. In Unicef office, we always have a country management team meeting. And we do meeting from 8 early in the morning and sometimes before 8. And the meeting goes up to 8 sometimes. And so we have a nutrition team also there. So they decided the menu is to be curated for the type of people. We are all senior people coming, and it is curated for the type of people coming to this meeting and also for the length of this meeting. So if you are also doing a meeting, can you also create curated enough a menu for your meeting? Can you also look at your office canteens? Can you also look at what you are eating by yourself? So there's a long way to go in terms of behavior change, and I think if time permit will give a long speech in terms of behavior change, but today I wish you all the best and really look forward to some changes and some paradigm shift in terms of behavior change in the state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for all those points and examples. Clearly, the idea was to deliberate and discuss, and I think we've already started doing it. And like you mentioned about the last mile reach, and I think the role of academic institutions comes right there. Having a cadre of skilled professionals who can take research, behavior insights, behavior indicators to that level, so that we do come up with good evidence eventually. We have made an attempt, a very small one at that, where we have got some academicians, research scholars to talk about SBC and its role in overarching themes mostly across Odisha, but also some papers are about various things that are happening in India. So this was a small attempt where academicians and research scholars, about 16 of them, have come together to put out papers, and the overarching theme was social and behavior change. That's the primary reason also why we are here, because we want to see that book come, finally find a shape and come to us. But before we do release that book, I would request one of the co-editors of the book, Professor Santosh Vishwal, again a very renowned academician here in Odisha from Ramadevi University, to shed light on what the book is about and how has the experience been.
Thank you, Sanjay. So before I discuss about the book, I would like to thank Mr. Prashant Das, focusing on the laxity between this boardroom discussion and the exhibition. But moreover, he pinpointed that the writing quiz can bring really societal changes. Thank you so much, sir, for banking on us. And all the time, we want a kind of interface between the academic and the industry. So coming to the book, at the outset, I would like to thank FAKIR University and Unicef for the invitation. So particular, I am really indebted to Professor Bharati Patnaik and Dr. Subhash Rai on their, the belief that really we can bring this kind of book. So initially, we floated the invitation to as many as the academic and the scholars, and also from the industry persons, and we received 16 chapters, and we tried for something international publication, but there is a severe positive time that day, and we are running short of time, lagging behind the deadlines. So finally, we froze to a national level of publication, and the contributors are from various universities like Odisha, FM, RD, Balasore University, and Central University of Koraput as well, right? And moreover, few scholars also came forward to contribute, like Hemant to name one who comes, and Amrita also contributed from Balasore University. And mostly the chapters really hovering around on the community health, communication for social change, and especially centering on SPCC aspect, right? But Mr. Prasad was categorically telling about how there should be more of deliberation between the industry and academic, and how we should execute, not talking much on the boardroom. Like he was also in a very jovial saying that professors should not wash the potato or the bridges often, because we will telling only the straws, right? Nothing left for our mind. Thank you so much, sir. And I think over to all my dear friends, young friends, especially who are from industry, turning to academic to discuss more of this book. Thank you so much. Over to that as well.
Thank you, sir. I think we can now go ahead with the launch of the book. Okay. I request to get the copies. So, request all dignitaries to please do the honors. It's multidisciplinary perspectives on social and behavior change communication in India. Chapters have been contributed by academicians and research scholars. 16 in all, with the overarching theme of social and behavior change. Thank you so much, everyone. Now we're talking about social and behavior change, and there's always a pleasure of having met Dennis, and I know the kind of insights that he usually has. He has been in and around Odisha, looking at the SBC interventions in different districts. So I would now request Dennis Krishnadathan, he is the SBC chief Unicef, to kindly address all of us.
Good morning, everyone. So I really want to share one privilege it is for Unicef to be here today with you. Congratulations with the launch of the book on HBC. This is really a big moment, and it's a big moment to be with so many important people who know about HBC in here. I think it's a very important moment, and we should really make sure that this, as you were saying, continue this movement, make sure that we create a group together, community of practice, where we will continue this and discuss. This is one first amazing step to start this group and work very closely together. So really, huge congratulations. I think Prasanth said everything about the importance of why we have to work with SBC. And I want to say again, as the only foreigner, I think, from what I can see in the room, it's such a big privilege to be in India at this time. And even though we're discussing issues and problems, because every country in the world has problems, but we are in a historical moment of India in the world where one country is really moving very fast away, very fast forward towards being one of the biggest economies in the world. It's a country that other countries are looking to. I know that living in Delhi, we have a visitor of some prime minister or president almost every second day. So the whole world is looking to India. And so if India can show models, this will have a very big impact in the world. We just had the AI summit 2 weeks ago. Our secretary was here, everyone was here. So if we can do something here in India, that will really be helping Unicef also in other countries to show models how we can better work for children and adolescents. So talking about that privilege it is to be here in India at this time, and it's also a privilege to be in Odisha, which is a state that's leading, has been leading for quite some time on SBC. And I have been in India now for almost 3 years. It's the first time I'm in a meeting like this, so I hope this is really also for UNICEF. I hope it's also a new beginning. And if we create a community of practice here, we can really show how this can be used for other states and other countries also. So we've talked about the privilege, but also, of course, all the issues. I think India has moved very far in terms of all the indicators for women and children. We can see how we're progressing a lot. It's one of the countries that's actually moving in the right direction for the SDGs. Many other countries are lagging behind. I hope that with everything happening around India also, because India is not isolated, we can still maintain the progress. But it's very clear that if we want to really reach those goals, sustainable development goals, the behaviors of the population is crucial. Only services and only infrastructure will not bring us to have those results. And so even though we have reached very far, and maybe we have with very good mass communication and with very good communication of India, considering the country that has the biggest frontline worker in the world, as far as I know, community-based frontline workers. There's no country that has such a big network in the world. Mass media that reaches enormous numbers of people. So we've reached very far. What's now left is the most difficult part. It is the more complex part of those populations that have not yet, adopted the behaviors that the majority has. So obviously, objectification is almost eradicated in India. But there is some small group of people who have not yet, as an example, been reached by this. And that last part is the most difficult part. And for that part, we need to be scientific about it. We cannot just continue the same approaches that we've been doing for the majority of the population to those last mile populations. So that's where we need to work with you. We need to understand what do these populations think, what do they feel, what are their attitudes, why is it that they have not yet adopted these behaviors. So we need that information. And I think in this room here, there's so much research already happening about Odisha, for instance. But my feeling has been that from UNICEF side, we do some studies here and there, but we do not know, we don't have access really to know everything that's happening. So creating this community of practice will help hopefully all of us to move this agenda, to share more, to find a way to share this information. Because I feel that a lot of people keep asking the same questions, even the answers might be right here in the room. Why is it that there is still objectification in this community? And policymakers, who are the ones who will finally take the decision, may not have access to this information that you have. They may not know why is it that these behaviors are not adopted. So what do people normally do? They just jump to some conclusion. that is not evidence-based. They just make some assumption about this and that community, make a strategy, and most likely that will not be very effective unless it is really based on evidence. So from the Unicef side, we think that reaching that last goal, to reach the sustainable development goals, we could work together with you. And that's hopefully something we'll be discussing through the day. How can we work closer together? What kind of research do we have already available? What's missing? What is useful for you? I know that your work is not just working on government policies, it's much broader than that, and sometimes you have to look into broader issues. But still we can make the bridge, hopefully a win-win situation, so that it's interesting for your research, your careers and your aims, but also for what the Unicef is trying to do together with the government. So all of that is very interesting, and I'm hoping that with all of your ideas and proposals, we can come to some way forward. I have to say this is a very open agenda, so Unicef has not yet decided any roadmap or how this has to happen. So this is something we'll do together if you're interested. And so really looking forward to what's going to come out of this meeting. And I'm really looking forward to reading the book also. I will do that as soon as I get to the hotel. I'll start reading the book. So congratulations once again, and looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. Yeah, this brings us to the end of an inaugural session. And as Prashant was mentioning a few minutes, that it's time to pick the brains of the SBC stalwarts present here. So I will now hand over all the responsibility to Dr. Shubhata Roy, my former supervisor and probably always a mentor, to take forward the session.
Just wondering, sir, should we take a tea break or what do you like to do? Or they can serve on the table? How do you prefer? Okay, we can continue with the discussion. Sir, at the outset, let me thank all of you for able to come for this deliberation. It was planned in a very short notice, but we were thinking about coming out with this kind of publication. It's more for helping our other academic institutions, as Prashant also mentioned, that should be all the universities, all the academic institutions should be talking about it. That is what we were looking at. So, keeping that in mind, we thought, how do we take it forward? Unless and until we have interaction with you, pick things from your brain. We were thinking, can we have something like a SBC talks, where we have all the academicians coming together and talking about it. The deliberation from those points, we can look forward how to put it in action. So that was how we thought about doing it. But this is, the book is just one part of it, which we can share with all the academic institutions, the very insightful articles that you have come out with, because these are all based on available data in the public domain, which you have done proper data mining and then analyzed it and come up with these papers, which will actually feed into the programming that is happening now. But as both of them, Prashant and they mentioned, that we are looking at academicians beyond talks, beyond having publications, what more we can get from you. We are looking at you not actions. We are not looking at you just as the powerhouse of knowledge. Also, we are looking at you as a powerhouse of giving us directions. Directions through generating of evidences and how we translate those evidences into action. That's one. Second, how we use this knowledge in dissemination for everybody to know. And lastly, how we are able to mobilize our young masses. You have a captive audience in your institution. As Dennis mentioned, it's not only about mass comm and journalism, it goes beyond. It goes to humanity, all the streams of humanities. It goes to science, it goes to commerce. Can we mobilize these young people to come forward? Because there is mention about SVG. SVG was a goal. Then government has again set another goal for us, Viksit Odisha by 2036, where we are looking at achieving those data, and something that is left, it will be achieved by 2047. So as again it is opening remarks which Prashant mentioned, Odisha has maternal mortality at 153, that's the highest in the country per 1 lakh live births. We have anemia among young girls, adolescents, at 65%, that's almost 2/3 of our girls. Out of 3 girls, 2 of them are anemic. Even if you are looking at pregnant women, 15 to 49, we are telling 15 why there is a huge number of teenage pregnancies also happening. But these numbers we are looking at to bring it down to all-time low by 2036, just 10 years time. Time is short. And most of these problems, what we are identifying as behavioral problems. Unless and until we change that behavior, whatever we keep on doing, it will continue. But it is not easy. Just earlier we were thinking that if we give message, awareness generation will change the behavior, that is not going to happen. Because I don't give value to you. What is happening today, when I was coming with my colleague Tom, he was asking me something about behavior change. I said, we design programs. If I design program without taking you, he happens to be from Manipur. If I sit in Odisha, design a program for Manipur and ask you people to follow, is it, am I respecting you? Am I looking into your cultural aspect? Am I giving due respect to your lingua franca? Nothing. I straight go and give it to you. That's where we have failed. So in this session, what we are looking at, I'll try to come to all of you to share how better we can take it forward. What are the areas where academic academicians in their individual capacity and the research scholars who are working on these areas, what are those areas we need to focus on so that we all can come together, have an action plan, and then move forward to see how academics play a major role in advancing social and behavior changes. So if I may, I'll just, let's not go one by one. Let's go voluntarily. Who wants to come first to start? Maybe Melissa? Yeah, I'll go along. I have so many points.
Okay, thank you. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me. So I listen Dr. Shah, and even Unicef chief and many people also. So what I did here, since this workshop is from Unicef and ASB, if I would say that I will say from the academic side. And second is what you are saying, that our basic concern is what I understood up to here. Persuasion, but it should be an act, or you have to be act, or it should be a very, product. That's what I understood till now. But since public relation, experts, or you can say I taught more than 40 to 15 years public relation paper in Central University, in State University also. Again, I'm saying that, what exactly told, one sentence still I remember. When we are talking about this SPC data, social behavior change data, first of all, you should know that, the socio-economic and cultural background of the grassroots people. Until unless you understand who are your target audience and what exactly their social behavior change and socio-economic cultural background, that is very difficult to change our side what exactly we have to do. But if you see, from the public relation point of view, we will start with from IVD to up to Jet Bernard. You see, everybody is talking about the persuasion only, but nobody is talking about, even I didn't find any book that regarding how to act according to your data, whatever the data you have accumulated or collected, how to act on a particular way, that I have not seen till now. But from the academic side, I would say that when we are talking about social behavioral change, we should understand that public relation is not only a concept, or the social behavior is not only a concept that to pursue, but we should need the in a very good, effective and very good feedback from the target audience. Then only you can understand. But somebody is rightly said that relating to the perceptual communication, in relating to public relation, public relation is a perceptual communication which is used as an instrument for generating goodwill, cooperation, and understanding between an organization and its public. According to my assessment, I would say that it should be from both sides, public and from the organization side. Coming to this, what Dr. Subhadra told that, what can we do for this, social behavioral change? My pattern or my, thought is saying that public relation is not only confined with behavior we are using, but always from the academic side, because you people are directly dealing with the target audience. Whatever we academician, we just talk about theory. And best knowledge we also get from your sessions, you are dealing directly with the people. So sometimes we also experiment inside the classroom, what exactly you are doing there and how it will be more effective. And we are also trying to incorporate in our theory papers, because we also get, because it is a reciprocal from the academic side, from the field side. But I would say that public relations should be, it will be very identity, it should be very productive, and it should be very associated with the target audience to whom we are dealing with. And then only we can say that what kind of changes, what kind of data we need, and data when we are trying to implement in that particular stage, that must be reached 100%, and people should change according to their need and demand. And under no circumstances, nobody should be neglected for any kind of information or data. That's what I feel for the time being now. Later on, if I think it will be better, I will say a little bit more also. Thank you.
We'll come back to you. Thank you, sir. As you mentioned, public relation is a key area where we also see, because through your article only we came to know that maybe in social and behavior change, we also need to have an element of public relation, and maybe public relation and media relation as well. That's where Hemant is also there with us to propagate about these approaches and tools to take it forward in the public domain. So with these things, can I now shift to Ambika sir? Then I'll come back to you with the answers.
Good morning. We all actually can think about three things. One is, first is problem localization, second is content localization, third is communicative ecology, and the fourth aspect which should be there is participation. Problem localization means I have to understand what is the problem in really. Like you are talking about hand wash. Many people, they actually wash their hands, but they don't practice it in a proper manner. That means how to wash their hand. I can wash my hand with half a glass of water without any soap or anything, or I can do it in a proper manner, or I may not do it for because of it, or I may not go for it totally. That's one aspect. So we have to identify where the problem is lying. That's the first. That is problem localization. Second is content localization. We have to understand what is the communicative ecology of that particular community. Because without understanding, communicative ecology means communication plus culture. And many times what happens, we have to find that the stigmas, the other aspects, that the value system or the norms associated with a particular society may contribute to such problems. So those things we have to think about. And after thinking about those things, we can actually design a policy for that community. The third aspect is participation. Because unless and until participation is not there, two-way communication is not there, and we are not understanding what the community needs or how their issues can be addressed, we may not be able to resolve the issue. And to think about this, and for making such things sustainable, we have to think in a proper manner, because actually we have to break, when we are actually designing the strategy, we have to break the culture of silence. Like in many cases, what happens, people understand that what we are doing is wrong, but they continue with that. So there where we have to make specific strategies to break the culture of silence. So all these facts, all these aspects needs to be addressed in a proper manner, and mostly as I am from the background of academics, so I can tell that mostly at institutional level, many not only awareness programs, rather practice-based awareness programs. We have to go for it. Mostly action-oriented programs. We have to organize small campaigns, workshops, and those students who will be trained, we have to develop them in a network manner. That's one aspect. And to provide educational knowledge to them in these areas, we actually have to do one thing. This new generation, they are mostly acquainted with the internet. Because from morning till sleeping in the bed, they are acquainted with the phone. They have a long screen time. So we have to generate some contents which is according to them. Even if we are promoting them, you make reels in these areas, you make videos in these areas. That also will work in a very nice manner. So that's what I think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You came up with very key pertinent points. One is the culture of silence. The culture of silence has been one of the, I can say, a crime around in our society where people do not value that culture of silence. We don't want to listen. People don't want to come out and speak. There will be many in this room also who don't want to come up and speak. That has been our approach. And when it comes to certain issues like menstrual hygiene, people don't want to come and speak. If it is a mental health, that's again far more issue that they don't want to come and speak. So that is where we have to break. This is where we are looking at social and behavior change playing a major role in breaking that barrier. Because culture of silence is the biggest barrier, and what can be the driver to overcome that is something that we want to find out through our action-oriented research, which you just mentioned. And one very pertinent point which you came up with is the content generation in new media. If I want to reach out to young people, adolescent and young people, whether in a tribal hamlet or in a urban slum, we are seeing digitally they are connected. If I am unable to reach them, can I reach them? Can social and behavior change have one more approach of reaching out to these people with a very engaging form of reels or any form of challenges? If you see now, one of the new area of engaging the young people is it's a challenge. If you remember a couple of years back, a fitness challenge. Virat Kohli doing some push-ups challenges in a region. Then he challenges Prime Minister. That's how everybody starts doing, and the awareness about fitness starts coming and people start coming forward and participating. Another area which you mentioned, the locally also there can be influences. We have seen, sir, there are in the tribal hamlets, one of the boy has about 1,000, 2,000 followers. Every day, whatever he posts or she posts, everybody tries to look into that. He is my local influencer. I don't have to go to an influencer sitting in Bombay or Delhi or in Bhubaneswar. In my Koraput itself, Langkaput itself, he can be an influencer. That's where we need to expand our horizon, look into that and can move forward. Now, if I can request Devlal sir, if you can share some of your thoughts.
Sir, I just have to add to what we discussed. Actually, being from a women's university, most of the time I see my students making reels. So they are preparing reels in many areas. But they don't have the idea that there are many such areas where their reels can be useful for the society. So we have to induct those ideas into them. That's one thing. And another thing is our ideas are aligned in one area. That is when I talked about culture of silence, I had two things in mind. One is caste system and another is that of menstrual hygiene. So I think our ideas match them. Thank you.
Just a feedback before we move into, because I think here we're defining what we can do together. One thing that we've been talking, Unicef is that, okay. There are, for instance, in India, you have huge networks, as I was saying before, they're already there. We don't have to create any new network. The networks are there, but how can we make them stronger? How can we make them more evidence-based to better address the issues that are actually there? And so I just wanted to say that from the UNICEF side, our expectation is really how we together can we find this information, these data, and this analysis, and how can we bring them so we can prove what's already there. So we're not requesting you from the UNICEF side for you now to take on a new job, which is now that you have to mobilize students and you have to make social media. All of that is already inside huge government programs that can reach many more people than UNICEF can or than you can. But what we can do together is to say what is working, what's not working, what has not been considered, why is this initiative not working. So I really hope that our focus can be on, I think what you do really well is the research and the analysis and the thoughts and the methodologies and the theories of what works, what doesn't work. So I just wanted to make sure that hopefully our thoughts would go in that direction, because I don't think it's not fair to you or to UNICEF now to give new tests. Yeah.
We look at it as creating a community of praxis where we all can be on the same page.
Thank you. My thanks are due to Professor Bhargava, head of the Department of Mass Communication at Behaviour University, and all the functionaries of UNICEF for having me here. Actually, we are discussing behavioral change, we are discussing development. Actually, observe-mindedly, development is essentially a behavioral phenomenon. When we talk about development, it is essentially a process of positive behavioral change, which is inclusive and participatory in nature. And more importantly, it begins with concern. It begins with concern, grows through conviction, thrives on the values of commitment and consistency, and becomes complete with change, both within and without. That is to say, if change is the target, change is the asset. So, in the larger interest, development, the process of development calls for reciprocal action and access. We call development a never-ending process. Why it is like that? It is never-ending because it can never stop, since every voice matters and every step counts. So these concepts are there. These are not the new concepts. Way back in 1976, the world sociologist Everett Roses, he defined development as a widely participatory process of social change that intends to bring about both material and social advancement. And there he talks about greater equality, freedom, and other valued qualities from the majority of the people through their gaining control over their environment. So when the question of development arises, there are two kinds of infrastructures we need to keep in mind. One is the physical infrastructure, another is the behavioral infrastructure. That we talk about this behavior change, it is more about the behavioral infrastructure. And when we talk about communication in the process, we define communication in various ways, but in the context of development, we define it as a process of sharing something meaningfully and achieving mutual understanding based on an effective contextual awareness. But there is something lying beyond this definition. Because the innate behavioral dimensions linked to the actual context of the socio-psychological dynamics form the core of our complexity. And with the human nature leading everything, communication is certainly something beyond the usually perceived individual experiences. So we need to take into account the psychology of the receiver, the psychology of the audience, as communicators, as development actors, because there can be no one-size-fits-all approach. Because when it comes to communication psychology, when it comes to social psychology, the three key factors is very important. That is perception, personality, and performance, which is unique to every individual. Everyone is unique as far as their perception, personality, and performance is concerned. And there is a very tricky relationship among these three concepts. That is to say, the perception affects the personality affects the performance. So, when we talk about communication for development, we essentially refer
to the process of creating or bringing about positive changes in an individual, family, or community, or a broader society by way of a positive content and a positive intent. We always talk about content, we hardly talk about intent. But content and intent should go together when we talk about behavioral change communication. Because behavioral changes result more from attitudinal changes. And attitudinal changes are largely based on effective realization of the existing conditions. So, the development actor in the process has to be sensitive, has to be receptive, and has to be connective in the process, which is not everyone's cup of tea. The language may be excellent, the presentation may be vibrant, the approach may be scintillating, but when it comes to the impact, it is the trust factor that counts ultimately. So communication for development is always a matter of character of the communicator, how he sees, how he looks at his role. So there are three elements I talked about: sensitivity, receptivity, and connectivity. The development actor should be sensitive to the concerns. He or she should develop an approach towards the environment with concern and commitment. Then only he or she can be receptive. The sensitivity of the development actor makes him receptive. When we talk about receptivity, that means the development actor is in a position to connect, to understand the concerns, the needs, the problems, and prepares him or her to address it in a meaningful way. And finally, the development actor connects, which can be referred to as connectivity, which is the situation, which is the stage where the development actor actually addresses the concerns, the problems of the target audience. So these three things are very important. And when we talk about these academic institutions do not merely exist to distribute degrees to me. They are effective development actors in the process. Here I want to quote Aristotle, who once said that educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Today we talk more about Indian knowledge system, especially after the introduction of NEP. And here, in this context, I want to highlight the thoughts of Swami Vivekananda, who once said, we want that education, whereby the character is formed, the strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's feet. So, the educational institutions, the academic institutions have a greater role to play in building character through. So, there are so many approaches, participatory approaches, community engagement, applied research, and collaborative exercises. Because the academic institutions, they have a broader goal. They have a greater social obligation, social responsibility, social purpose. So they should contribute directly to the positive health of the community and the positive societal health. So this, I expect everyone to think on the lines of behavioral change and I think take appropriate action in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Devilal. Now, as you mentioned, academicians are not just the teachers, they are actually the bridge, a bridge between the research papers and the community actions. So on these things, Professor Jayant Panda has sent us that article which has really tried to evaluate on the community-led actions in motion based on the data that you have found. So if you can share how academicians can actually help in advancing the research into community-led actions, if you can really speak.
Thank you, and indeed it's a pleasure and privilege for me to be part of this cohort. From the beginning, Prashanji has set the tools and he has already set the mandate for the academic institutions, what should be our roles, and which also emphasized by Dennis and Dr. Sugata. I come straight forward without any further much deliberations what exactly we need to, how we need to play our roles. First of all, in order to expedite that SBC, we need to involve as being in one core curriculums in all the academic institutions where the professors in communications, they can play a major roles. We can give a value-added course, so we can also bring all those domains from beyond that, from mass communications, from the political science, from the physics, from the other domains, papers or students to understand the importance of social and behavioral change communication. That's the first aspect. Second, we need to formulate or design the message. Most of the times, the intent of the message is failed if it's not properly designed. So we need to discuss, or we need to formulate the strategy, communication strategies, that how we need to design the message so it has much more practical, insightful and implications also. The third part is we need to train the frontline workers, particularly the ASA, the self-help groups, then the women health workers, and to train them, being an academician, to train them that how they need to carry those messages into the ground levels. The fourth point I would like to highlight that sometimes we are talking much about the social solution-based journalism. So we need to find out the evidences which will properly work and which are not working, and then we can recreate those modules in other places also. That probably will inspire or motivate a lot of the peoples. Fifth part, lot of the reporters and rural correspondents, they are working in the ground. So being an academician, we can organize them for the workshops, so how they can take those agendas forward. So there are few suggestions which I think if you can execute, then we can create a massive impact. That's all.
What we have observed, Professor, that there is a lot of transmission loss happening. The frontline workers whom we are training, when they go down to the community, the message they receive, the message they deliver, that is a transmission loss. Even what we have also observing, that message for the master traders, when they go down to from the state to the district to the block and then to the community, there is a little bit of transmission loss, and the final transmission loss of the message that we give turns out to be something like a Chinese whisper. How this can be really addressed, if you think from the academic point of view, how we really put it in the brain which continues to be without any distortion, that message can go down.
Dr. Roy, you have pointed out very pertinent problems. Even when we studied, we also observed the same thing, even if the best of effort of the ASA committees and other circle groups, that message cannot be reached out to the intended audiences. In that perspective, we can say that we have to develop a strategy that the training program is not once or twice, it's a continuous training programs. Second, when we organize some community like Post and MOHAN, some things, so there we can involve the communities so as we can execute or can deliver messages more effectively. So probably this is the things we can talk about.
Yeah, there's a particular. Now, in this you have points, please.
So I think all of you probably have more deliberation. So it's great to hear that. I think we're all on the same page of all the principles of what that we have about development in HPC, the participatory approaches, listening, understanding the target audience, and so many other things that we mentioned. Maybe we could discuss a little bit about, if we create this community of practice, how we could organize this so it would be the most useful as possible. So I had one idea that, but I would love to hear yours, if we could organize thematic sessions or conferences per theme. So we could choose some themes that maybe, I don't know how at this, that some of you already interested in, because again, this is more of an exercise of accumulating what you already have and sharing. We're not, Unicef is not, expecting you to do some new research or something, but so we could choose some themes. So I'm not sure what are the themes that you're already working on. Maybe that's something you could talk about. So for Unicef, we work on quite a lot of different domains. So hopefully,
some of them are pertinent to you as well.
So basically, we are working on maternal health and child health, and of course that is all very broad. We're working on adolescent health, also very broad. We're working on education, but from the SPC side, we're not working so much about content, but more of school dropouts or why children go to school. That would be one area in terms of demand. We are working on water and hygiene that you already mentioned. What else are we working on? We're working on child protection, violence against children, child marriage, mental health issues. So we're working on quite a lot of range of issues, both at family level, but always, of course, concerning, since we're Unicef, always with the final end of improving lives of children. So maybe I wanted to hear a little bit of, are you already working on any of these themes? And if you are, it could be any aspect of any of those. And do you think that would it be interesting maybe to organize some conferences along those themes? And maybe we could also even expand this group, because I'm not sure if Unicef knows who are all the experts on these different issues, but maybe you would know. We could do a little bit of a snowball. So to say, for instance, if one theme could be about malnutrition, not malnutrition in terms of the medical part of it, but the behavioral part of it. In addition to this group, is there any guest speakers we would like to invite in addition, somebody who's done research on that? So anyway, so I'm just wondering what would be the next steps?
Thank you very much. I think the discussions are very interesting and useful for us to also believe that what is the potential of this group and what can we do, further to ensure that what we are doing in terms of research here actually informs policy making or informs government programs or informs the strengthening of government programs. So I think it is interesting that all of you talked about the principles of SBC, as Dennis said. Very on the point that we all talk about participatory approaches. We talk about the perspective of the community and the people that we are working with. It cannot be done in vacuum. It has to be relevant to them. It has to address their issues, and only then the communities will engage with us. It's also true that development as a process is a process of change itself, and therefore we have to continuously invest in research and understanding the processes of change and how we can inform it duly so that it takes us to the point that we are looking at in the future objective. But what I would like to hear a little more from all of you, considering that you are all stalwarts in this area and have your connections to connect with the district administration or the state administration. Now, the challenge that Unicef is facing today, I will just give that little context and then we can take it further. The challenge that Unicef is facing today is how do we inform government programs and government schemes and ensure that what we are researching around is mainstreamed into the government way of programming. For example, government still looks at messaging as an important component to doing behavior change. We know that hand washing, I'll give you an example. Go wash your hands with soap, go wash your hands with soap, go wash your hands with soap. I'm sure that there is 20% of the people who still do not have the knowledge that washing hands with soap is beneficial to their health. But 80% of them already know and they are, there is a saturation of this knowledge, if I may say so. And yet, they don't wash their hands with soap. So there is actually, the challenge is a knowledge action gap, which is what we are struggling with at one level. And the second level is how do we actually make the government also see this point of view? That it is not important to only give this message, that this message has to be given along with something else so that people are actually triggered to change or triggered to wash their hands, when they're supposed to. Because, and this is what government programs and schemes, what we have seen is largely now, I'm not being critical, I'm just saying because this is the way government programs work everywhere. Because we are working at scale, we are working with so much of this thing, that it is easiest for them to work on messages. Do a matrix of message, have your IFA tablet every day. Wash your hands with soap every day, every time before you eat and after your defecation. I'm saying that because I have been also instrumental in designing these messages for the government at times. But we have now seen between that time and now, the government has stopped moving from it. So how can our research, I just want to, kind of pick your brains on how can our research and how can this community of practice that we are trying to build here, how can that relate more strongly? How can we become a conduit for the government, conduit between the community and the government, so that the government programs and schemes are strengthened to address the actual knowledge gap that is there, or the knowledge action gap that is there within the community. So I'll stop at that. I hope I have not confused you, but I'm thinking this is one of the challenges, that moving from this knowledge to the action.
Thanks, Loka. It's like what she was mentioning. Can research be a catalyst for our insights so that it is able to identify the behavioral barriers, and also the data that you bring on board can feed into the government policies and programs. That's very important for us. Before I pass on to Dr. Santosh, we would like to welcome Dr. Rajiv and Dr. Vidhu for attending this workshop. Thank you very much for coming. Over to you.
I really sincerely thank to Unicef to really hope for the academics. We are grateful for Unicef. And moreover, before going to my points, what I like to tell, I really thank to Mission Dennis, focusing categorically about the thematic addressing the issue, not only education, tomorrow, the sanitation, and then so on and so forth. It's a kind of digression from the one issue. If you are focusing on education, let's do wholeheartedly. It's not out of sight, it's out of mind. Let's do very follow. Maybe as Dennis was saying, Prasad was saying that we should also rely on writing for social change. Be it research paper, be it media publication, or per se, any sort of newsletter or the brochure in terms of SBCC. What I feel personally, the romanticizing SPCC has become a scary thing. Let's not glorify further. Let's do something in our bed, be it maybe in our daily practice, whether I do gargle after the food, whether I do my hand cleaning before I take any sort of food, that's our job. And what SPCC, when you understand, try to dismantle, it's a kind of, I feel it's been Pandora's box. What as an academic, what I am doing, whether I'm just developing 5 units, SPCC, and for the sake of assignment I'm doing, that's now the time has gone actually. In my PG program, before 25 years, I studied development communication. I still impart development communication as my core because I'm not from television, I'm not from documentary, I'm not from camera. I don't know the essence of all the things. But I was the role of speed for change, social change, those are very big for me. I'm a layman for this visual being. So, as an academic institution, what I should do, Professor Bonda was also discussing, some bit we have to take from the classroom to the field, from lab to land. That's the required. Like, whether in terms of extension communication or whatever, that has to really come to the fore. And we have to integrate also theory and the practical. And moreover, the role of academic institutions we cannot assess in silos. We are working with the institution from the HE education. Since I am in the state family, I have some limitations. I'm not worried to disclose all things. We have other realities as say. So managing, coping with all these limitations,
and we have copies because we are handful, thing. Industry is not only discipline. Create knowledge, give stock of knowledge. Who is the play? I cannot pass the play. This is not my job. This is someone from JNU or Hyderabad or IS library. You have to do some kind of responsibility. You have to take that baton to move forward. So this is my urge to all my colleagues and the body like event agency like Unicef who has called to deliver. And this is kind of open things we should look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. We have to, as you mentioned, from classroom, from as a lab to the lab, which is really important. That's why we are trying to see how do we take the research and evidences to the policy-oriented programs. Now I request our Chief Prashant to share.
I have only 2 points before I leave. I think one is that we need to come with the type of action plan. So I think if this is the community practice for Odisha, but how we want to go? One university becomes one thing, specialize on that media, and then you create a community practice at your end, and maybe end of the year we can organize something and bring everybody together and share. Or every university will do something like what Dennis was saying, we work in class, we work in health, we work in, or all the universities, we take a common theme and we work for a year. If I can, I say that. If you look at the adolescent piece of work, this is the same group who are dropping out of school. This is the same group who are have anemia. This is the same group who are into child marriage. This is the same group. So I'm looking options. So what is the best way for us, this community practice, to come together, do some actions on the ground? I fully agree with that. It should go from our classrooms to the communities, whatever name you want to give it. So what is the best way to look at action plan like this? And I don't allow anybody to do a workshop if there is no action. So no, it has to come with action. And how? And I think that is said in the most positive way, said that where it comes from the history in India and also in the world history, that how we can change it. We're changing so fast. So also our communications and understanding is also changing. What we used to understand as behavior change, the Gen Z, which is the youngest communication, they don't understand. For information, Unicef did our chief of communication. Not Dennis, we have Jafri, who is our chief of communications. He spoke to the young advocates for Unicef. They don't understand what Unicef speaks. They don't understand what Unicef speaks, the language. And we are not doing the best communicator in the any parallel department you would think of. Government look for a Unicef presentation. Government look for a Unicef publication. We are so good in our communication, but the next generation is not able to understand what we are talking. So we have to also think how best we can really translate our classroom discussion or classroom curriculum into actions on the ground. And for them, it's to be few seconds, not even minutes. It has reached to their stage. If you want to communicate with them, you have to think something which is you can learn within some seconds. I think young people sitting on the side must be, yes, it has reached to their stage. And for us to book a Ola, we take 2 minutes. My daughter takes 2 seconds to book a Ola. Maybe the next generation do even faster than us. And the understanding is also like that. So we have to also think that. And third, I think, what is the best way that we as a group keep communicating and sending the messages across? And how can influence an environment? Papa is saying that how can influence the government? I think you alone or I alone cannot influence the government, but we together can influence the government. And the academic institutions have that kind of a critical role. These are the 3 points I'm making in the table. So think what is the best way we keep communicating. what will be the best mode of communication with the Gen Z and how we influence government and how we influence their policies. Thank you.
Those were the very insightful points because understand until we have an action plan, what's the way forward? If we don't know, then as you mentioned, we may have n number of workshops, but no clear deliverables in our side. Okay, now as we have been talking a lot about the evidence generation, I was just thinking if we can go to Arpita. She is one of the research scholars at RMRC and has been working on, you worked on the sickle cell part of it. And let's try to hear from her how the evidences that she has generated is actually helping us. Maybe this kind of evidences should we expect from all of us to come up with. Arpita, if you can briefly keep your points. Let's share them.
Hello everyone. I want to start it from lower vantage point. I am just started to sharing my field experience. I am doing my PhD thesis field during this period. So when I go to field, the first question I heard from my participants, really what the benefits I got from this interview, what I will get. So as we are discussing here about the social behavioral change, as in my knowledge, as I understand, we need to understand what is the social behavioral aspect that leads to that behavior. And I am working in sickle cell disease. I am on the patient and caregiver. As we all know, India is the second highest country in sickle cell in globally, and Odisha is the highest burdened state in whole of India national party. And in 2047, our Prime Minister taken a promise by 2047, India will eliminate sickle cell disease. That will not generating more of burden. But till now, there are 50 million populations of patient and more of caregiver. And like patient, one patient, there are at least 2 caregiver. That leads to a huge number of burden. Mostly I work on that social behavioral aspect, what are the social and behavioral aspect that leads to many problems and difficulties faced by this patient and caregiver. Initially when I started my PhD, my supervisor told me to evidence synthesis on this topic. So I go through all the documents that are present in sickle cell disease, around sickle cell. So I found out major 700 that in my area of research, and in that 700 study, only 3 studies I found out regarding social behavioral aspect, and that's only to the knowledge and awareness papers. So there is a huge burden, and people don't understand, we don't understand what are the major aspects that leads to this, what are the major behavior that maybe behavior, and what are the major lacuna in the system, in the health system, in the society and the community that leads to this burden. What are the factors that leads to n number of burden that we need to eliminate at the list in the 2047. In this way, evidence synthesis more and less generation is very important in understanding social behavioral aspect, because we understand a community as an anthropologist. I am a student of anthropology. As a social behavioral change, before change we need to understand. Only if you at the starting we, as you told that benefit, if you can understand, make understand people what is the benefit, practical understanding of what is the benefit of hand washing. I'm not more into hand washing thing, but I don't have much knowledge in that. hurting a person's health in a good way, that can lead to a action change. As I understand in my field, anthropological aspect, and in case of sickle cell disease, there is a very important concept globally now. People are understanding that the socio-behavioral aspect of social determinant of health. What is social determinant of health? That what are the social and cultural aspects like education, quality of life, stigma, taboos, cultural norms, how that leads to the patient burden and health, limited awareness, knowledge, lack of access to healthcare facility. Even if they have access, but they don't know what to do, where to go. So I'm just working on that evidence synthesis and sickle cell disease further to understand more about this disease.
Sir, as she was mentioning about looking into these social determinants, norms, behaviors and all, these are all very theoretical, the classroom-oriented things which we are talking about. As Santosha mentioned, how we go from the classroom to from lab to the lab. This is what she spoke about, the lab. I'll give you, there is a practical instance. We were talking with a lot of tribal leaders on how we destigmatize sickle cell in the community. We are talking about testing, we are talking about campaign and all. This gentleman stood up, Lopa knows him, Santakar. Santakar is quite one of those reporters and human rights activists and all from the tribal community. He said, sir, how do you study the behavior when an adolescent comes to the weekly bazaar and haat for three things? One, you will have some merry time, you will have a little bit of fast food, you will have a little bit of intoxication place, and the third is looking for a mate of that. And they find a girl, and the girl is also interested. And there they decide, because the culture in the tribal society is, they can elope, they can stay for a week or a month, and after that when they come back, they are solemnized as husband and wife. Under this kind of a pretext, they saw each other, got hold of the hand, and the girl is willing, boy is willing, we immediately go and start staying together. Where does the testing factor comes? They don't give a damn to the testing. How do we understand this particular insights of the behavior? What triggers them to behave in this way? Can we address that? If we don't address that, whatever testing facilities will be accessible also, they will not access. This is somewhere where our research findings and insights that we are looking at to come up with. Now, yeah, please.
Just related to sickle cell, because we are also working at the national level on sickle cell disease, and I think sir mentioned about how to design messages. In a new program, normally what the way the government approaches a new program is to actually design critical messages. That what should be the key message that should go to the community with regard to this scheme. During the sickle cell disease, when we were designing the key messages, one of the things that was suggested was that let us tell that unless and until you test yourself, don't get married. Marriage is a very strong social condition, and marriage is in tribal communities or even non-tribal communities, in any community, is a strong social and cultural phenomenon. Now, if you ask that, if you have sickle cell, don't get married, you are introducing stigma into a community which probably does not have that stigma. The moment you try and say that if you have sickle cell, don't get married, we are introducing the stigma into the community. Till that time the community was getting married. I mean, then what they will do is they will not come for testing. People will become scared to come for testing. These are the negatives of designing messages without doing the research that we are talking about. So what I meant to say earlier, or what I mean to say now, is that how can this kind No, please don't. Then we immediately did a behavioral insights in Andhra Pradesh, and we tried to get information, and then we realized that there is a level of stigma which is already there, and we will be introducing more stigma if we say this, reinforcing the stigma that is already there in the society, which has not been recognized at that level. So sometimes I think this research, how it contributes to policy making, this is what I was trying to say. How do we actually link something that is there in the community, and how we inform these strategies that are being done? I think I just wanted to give that example.
Then I'll come back to you and you.
Yeah, so I think we've had some good examples to show at least what Unicef is looking for. I hope it's become clear, also, the kind of examples or the data that we're looking for. It would, I don't know if what your idea is about how we will move forward to the next step, but could it maybe be possible to listen from each of the universities here, just to hear, do any of these research areas interest you? I mean, is it something you're already working on or you could work on? And how do you see, the way forward? So if we still have something like 40 minutes, right, before lunch? So maybe we could try to, yeah.
We last 20 minutes to have a draft outline of a way forward, which can be an action plan, and then so Professor Behaviour.
Thank you. I apologize to be late. In fact, there is no good answer to it, and maybe my answer will be we have to critically engage with the commission. And if you look at the studies in social science, research in social science, 60% research which are published in good journals, are quantitative research, and 40% are qualitative research. But in case of social and behavioral science studies, I think we need more qualitative research, and maybe we need more critical engagement with the subject, which we are lacking. And we are lacking, which we will discuss later in the action plan point. Lacking because of lack of rigor in our master's dissertations, what we see most of the universities in India. So how we can bring rigor in our master's dissertation so students can do more research on SPCC and engage with the field, with the subject. That is very important. And also we get more time in PhD research. Because we do research for 3 to 4 years, we get more time in field research. Maybe we will engage more critically in a qualitative way. We can spend more time with the people. Maybe we can explore a few unsolved questions we are discussing. Maybe we can promote more ethnographic kind of work on this business. So let the PhD scholars go once, stay with that tribal community, maybe for 8 months, 10 months, and explore exactly what kind of challenges are there, cultural norms, related to behavior. So that may help us to find out some nuances about our progress.
That's absolutely fine. Given we are looking at some rapid assessment as well. If a rapid assessment can be done to find out, as Prashantji mentioned, we pick up one theme, and because of the diversity of Odisha and diversity within the tribal community, we can all pick up one particular theme and do the research in the respective areas, and then we come out. It can give us a real data source to move forward. So this was, can I come to Professor Rajiv? You can please share your thoughts.
Thank you, Sugata sir and the team, Unicef. It's always a pleasure meeting all your workshops. It's been quite regular, but today both were late because we are also having one research summit at our university. So that inauguration coincides with this program because thousands of our research scholars, they are doing postal presentation on next 2 weeks. This man told, now it's the age of not to narrate problems, but I feel, because I always, when I'm very positive in my, life, I always think that, shifting our focus from problem narratives to possibility narratives. Like for example, let me give you one instance. Just few days back, during our Kid Fest, I was talking to one of our female professor, and what I found that her son, just completed the exam, and the first question of the mother was to that, boy, that how many answers were wrong. So I told, ma'am, why don't you flip your question, why don't you ask the positive, that thing that, how many questions, you did right. So now this is the need. When we are communicating, something with the help of AI and all these things, we can shift our, that narrative instead of, as Matt told, instead of creating the fear in the society. It is better to talk about their achievements, to talk about, their success, because we should not behave like Delhi Metro. We should first understand the characteristics of our communication. Like when Delhi Metro started, so they, had this, imposing fine for the commuters if, you will, comment, if you will spit and whatever. But when we are doing something, related to social behavior routine, so there, we should focus more on positive sides instead of creating that stigma, creating that fear. Thank you.
I fully agree with you. Sometimes, unknowingly, we reinforce the harmful social norms and social practices. As with Lupa, we were discussing, when initially government said, okay, they should not marry. Couples having sickle cell within them should not marry. I said, you can't say that that's a human rights violation. They can put you up in the court. Then they said, then the data reveal it may not be that the sickle cell couple marry and the child will have sickle cell automatically. There can be traits of sickle cell which may not be exactly the one which they have kept. So there is a lot of technicalities behind that, but we can't send a sweeping statement saying that you should not marry. These are the points that we look upon, how do we address it. One area that we are talking about, what can be the role that our academic institutions really play in addressing those harmful social norms? Because what we have found, harmful social norms are the one which is creating the biggest barrier. If any one of you would like to volunteer to speak on this, so that we take note of it and maybe some of our research insights can be around how do we address this harmful social norms. Anybody who would like to volunteer on this? Yes. You need the mic, I know. Sir,
I heard all of them, and as a new research scholar, as a research scholar, I just found that there are a lot of research ideas and real work to be done. But as a media person also, I understand that there is deep conditioning in the society. And to remove that deep conditioning, we should first focus on learning things rather than making them learn. So first unlearn and then learn. And when we focus on giving messages to the society, we have to understand that what is already in their minds, deeply ingrained due to their culture or due to their societal pressure or whatsoever, peer pressure. So learning is very much important, and then only the message can be given which needs to be given. So my takeaway or my opinion regarding this is first make them buying messages and then make them learn.
Maybe we first learn from them and then come back to them with messages. Because I think
learning what they have already understood.
Yes.
So that deconditioning in them.
As you mentioned correctly, let's not try to impose what we have learned. Let's relearn and take off our shoes, get into their shoes and learn from them and then get back to them. Actually, we are missing Professor Nikhil Godo from Central University. With Dr. Nikhil and I, we were talking that communicating with the tribal community, our biggest fallacy has been what all we develop for general population, we simply translate that in their own language and then go and present it to them. While we don't change the graphics, we don't change the language, we just, whether it makes sense or not, it is like verbatim. You put something, like I have my colleague, ex-colleague Job Zakaria. So all of a sudden we had to do a translation in Hindi. So what we do that time, I'm talking about 15 years ago, no AI or anything was there. Google was a little bit of our help that time. I think precisely 2011. That is, we put it on Google and it translated because the press release had to go. While going through it, we were trying to look at the grammar and all. Then we all burst into laughter. Job's name has been changed as Naukri Zakaria. Naukri means job in Hindi. Naukri Zakaria ne kaha. Then we said, oh my God, that's what is happening when. Similarly, when we are trying to translate that into a tribal language, it may sound something funny where we are not expert. So, one of the areas that we are talking about, can we have a tribal communication policy where government looks into it, takes note of it and develop the materials in that? Okay. Ambika sir. We'll soon, after one or two more perspectives we'll take and then break into how to develop an action plan. We'll talk. Take it.
Actually, what you are telling regarding this, I absolutely agree to you. The problem doesn't lie with the fact that they don't have knowledge. The fact is we don't have knowledge regarding them. That's the first thing. So another thing I have to add to this, before thinking about a tribal communication policy, which is absolutely necessary actually, we have to understand another thing that not only for tribals, for every community, if there is a community-based problem or culture-based problem, the answer also lies in the culture itself. Means we have to use the same culture to reversely use against the same problem. For example, menstruation in our country is considered as a problem. Menstrual hygiene, all those things, they are considered as a problem. And people don't have knowledge. But in our country, this country celebrates Ambubachi festival. So we have lots of such knowledge which we have to use to reverse those problems. So we have to, if there is a problem within the culture, we have to find the answer within the culture actually. Otherwise it will be very difficult to challenge that problem. Because as I was earlier also talking about cultural silence, when the problem is rooted in culture, without understanding the communicative ecology, without finding the deep meaning of that problem and where the root is and how it can be handled, we can't answer the problem. So that is why we have to understand tribal culture relating to the problems and then only our policies will be able to answer that. Thank you.
I would like to add one more thing. When we have studied that chapter regarding the nutrition practices, we found that certain women, they are avoiding certain foods
because from the generations they are told that during pregnancy you should not take those foods, right? So how we can change that mindset? One way I can think that we can show them one success stories with evidence-based stories that how that particular woman changed the kind of nutrient what required. Then probably once we tell them the success stories, so perhaps we may create some impact. That's what we feel. I'll just add on to what you mentioned. That is, we were, when Rupa has been going to those places in the past long, in Niyamgiri, we went to one of the Anganwadi centers in Niyamgiri. So there were, it was on a PSM day, that is Pradhan Mantri Matritya Suraksha Abhiyan. That happens on all pregnant women comes on 9th of every month for interaction. So I found two mothers sitting out there, and I was inquiring how many months of pregnancy is there. They said it's 6 months. When it is 6 months, at least we expect the baby bump to be there in that belly. Nothing was visible out there. Then I checked with the other body, what is happening? But they are not listening, they are not taking, they are coming. Best thing is they are coming to the center, they are taking iron tablets, they are taking all messages, but they go back, they don't practice it. Why? Because, and interesting, it's not their first pregnancy, it is the third pregnancy. And what they are saying, that if I take those medicines, if I take the nutritious food, my baby size will become big. That will lead to cutting off my tummy and I won't be able to reproduce more. And that will ostracize me. If I am unable to deliver 4 or 5 children in my community, I will be ostracized. My husband will disown me. So I cannot go take that risk. See, this is the cultural beliefs. These are those insights which we miss. We keep on pushing. You have this nutrient food, you have this. But the mother on the other side has some other thoughts. I cannot take this. This can jeopardize my health, which is again a myth. But she doesn't know. So she doesn't want to listen to us and take forward. These are something that we are looking forward for our insights to come to take it forward in the programming. We have little time for 2 more perspectives. I'll request. Yes, sir. Please.
So, once again, thank you very much, sir. Whatever till now we have discussed, I agree to all your proposals, whatever the concept was we have been facing here to have a better communication. But my concern is a little bit different. But we understand, madam, has told so many things, social, cultural background, everything we have to understand. What exactly they are thinking and we are not exactly understanding accordingly. But you don't think that we are losing a major area, that is communication or communication tools. So what would be the right and appropriate medium to so that we can communicate properly and we will get the feedback from them. Accordingly we will fix, we will reach the target of this.
This is something that we are looking forward.
Okay, so because as per my knowledge concern, whenever we are talking about the communication tools or the media tools, certainly we understand the target audience. According to which language they understand, what is the socio-economic background. If necessary, we have to beat it down to send or disseminate or share the information to that particular target audience. So that's what my understanding is that no problem. We are add more and more things, but don't ignore or don't hesitate to include this communication part. Because here I want to give one more example. If everybody is seeing that water picture, still I remember that scene. Then Somidoro asked Sunil Sethi, go and vacate the during the time of war, go and vacate the village. And Somidoro asked that Sunil Sethi, why I am sharing to you? Because there are so many commandos, there are so many soldiers also there. But still I prefer you should go there. The best speak that language. Exactly, that's what I need. That's what I believe that the communication is one of the important parts when we are talking about the socio-economic. Thank you very much once again.
That's why we are stressing on the community, local community leaders, local community influencers. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I have to highlight 2 points which I also mentioned in my earlier address. First thing is, there can be no one-size-fits-all approach. We need to understand that there is a natural uniqueness theory working everywhere. So every community is unique. They have their behavioral disposition is unique. So we need to understand people. There is a difference between suggesting solutions and actually solving the problem. There is a great difference. We need to understand this difference. And when it comes to communication for development, when we are trying to communicate to people, so understanding the people's behavior is very important in designing an effective communication. So when we are trying for community development or community engagement for that matter, we need to first of all understand the behavioral aspects of the people involved in the process. So there can be a formula. So we can go this way to be on the safer side, that is RUMCU, RUMCCU. So we first start with research. When we do research, we try to understand, we try to get data, we try to get information on people we are going to communicate. Or we try to understand the problem at hand. So we begin with research. And research leads to understanding. So when we understand the community, when we understand the problem, when we understand the people, we are in a better position to select appropriate tool as Seki shared, appropriate tools and appropriate content. So that will take care of the communication part. When we choose, when we select the appropriate medium and appropriate content, because content is always medium specific. So if we appropriately choose the medium, then we can get the appropriate content, and then we communicate. And here, there is, when we talk about understanding the problem, there is two dimensions. First, we are understanding the people, the problem, the context. And when we actually communicate, then we aspire to, we want people to understand what we want to communicate. So first part is understanding the public, and second part is public understanding of our communication, of our content. And yes, twofold. And then that is not the end of the story. After that, we need to evaluate. Evaluate the behavioral patterns, whether we have been successful in achieving the desired behavioral change or not. So understanding is very important, and we begin with research and we end with evaluation. Thank you.
Just we get into how to prepare an action plan, or how we translate cognitive practice of having an action plan. Just the last perspective, after Bidu we will have Sangeeta is there, so Sangeeta will be the other one.
Stories quickly. One is related to behavior change, self change, communication. For example, you're talking about tablet, not taking tablets. Similarly, not taking Popeye during pregnancy. There are many such stories which may need scientific investigation. But there are also some harmful, maybe harmful social norms. During my fieldwork in Bundelkhand, one day I was doing a study of 2 community radio stations in approach of ethnography. So I was staying in the studio for 4 months. So during my stay, one community reporter came to me and asked, can we produce a program where people are having, men are having mustache? Yes. I said, it's your radio, you can do that, but you can't. And he went to the village, collected the bites from the men, and some of the bites like you don't have mustache, you are not a man. Some problematic bites are there. Similarly, one day he produced a story that why women should touch men's feet. That's a tradition, culture norms, taboos in our Hindu religion. And then people bring mythological stories, Ram, Sita, all these stories, and they say that a woman should touch men's feet every morning to be blessed, to be rich, to have more babies. Many such bites from the villages. So my point is that as I am a student of community, I understand that it's not always right to romanticize the community. There are many dark sides within the communities. So we have to scrutinize properly exactly whether this is a harmful social norms or practices. So that's one.
And that's actually what we are trying to find out through our research. That what are those harmful social norms and why it is existing, and is it possible that it can be addressed? If not, it may not happen within a day or two. It can take generations, but a start has to come at one point. So, last perspective from Susanita. You had some points to share. Yeah.
So I want to start since 2021, I am from anthropology. So I am working with Dr. So since 2021, we had a adolescent health risk behavior project, and we screened around 450 participants from 20 tribal community of Odisha, and it was continued till 2024. So for the continuous 3-4 years, we used to stay in the community to understand the adolescent, not only to focus to understand the adolescent in the community itself. So we seen a better communication message. What is in everyone's knowledge at that time was COVID-19. That message and the communication was so loud and visible, and it was coordinated by all the health department. That was so loud that is every from children to adult to older, the message of COVID-19 in everyone's mind. So recently I was in the field in the Malkangiri district. So I found a pattern there. So I used to sit in the PSC, local PSC, to understand their health seeking behavior, how they communicate with the health system. So initially few days, everyone, the strength of the PSC was every day 20-30 patients were there to check up. So during they consult doctor, and during the return they asked the doctor, just give me an injection and I will. So for first 2-3 days I found it strange. Why? We have a knowledge that tribal community is scared of injection. But no, currently I found that they are asking the doctor to give him the injection because of their busy household work. They forgot to take the tablet. So they believe that the skin disease, if they are coming, that is again repeated because of they are not taking the proper medication. So they ask the doctor to give me injection. So at once it will cure, and I no need to come to the hospital again. So the idea of taking that injection is from the COVID-19 vaccine, and that message was so loud and visible. So not immediately, but that after 3-4 years, the behavioral change is I am seeing in the community of accepting something immediately. So we need to develop something, not exactly the replica, but the communication should be something like COVID-19 that, and include every department, starting from mass education to like Panchayati Raj to health to community leaders, so that can reach to everyone and everyone.
Yeah, that's right. Convergent approach to work the best, and at Unicef we always keep on pushing for that convergence between the department, convergence between the programs, so that the maximum impact comes. Because it's all about reaching out to the same child. While multiple ways of reaching, together we can reach the child. And COVID had positive impact because COVID related to death. There was a cause and effect was visible. And that's the reason. I think we had run the hand washing campaign for years. The success then we did not see. But in COVID, automatically you are seeing the people visiting doctors for ailments reduced because they were washing their hands regularly. But because of the fear factor. So because it was linked to death. But in other factors, what happens, it doesn't work. And what Sangeeta mentioned about the injection, it is still thought in the villages, if I take an injection prick, I'll be good. And the quacks do give the injections as well. What they give is a digital water temperature. And that's how they work. So now we will just quickly take your perspective on Everything we have discussed, we have taken note of. Some points are very clear. Evidence needs to come, which needs to move from the lab to the land. Once it goes to the land, how do we implement it? Where we have to, as you mentioned, the frontline workers need to be trained. We have also discussed how we check the transmission laws from the state to the, as you mentioned, from lab to land and from the state to the community. There are transmission losses, how we done it. So I'll just go round-wise, where we can look into what can be the action plan, what can be the plan, how do we take this forward together as all educational institutions and academicians together, what can be done so that we have some tangible outcome of this discussion and then we can deliberate on this to take it forward. So if we are meeting sometime at the end of December of 26, at least we can say these are our efforts which are now and we can feed into the government programs. So we'll start with you, Santosh sir, and come back to you.
So, hello. Actually, to chase the tangible outcomes, what Roy told, I think now we have representatives from all state universities, leading primary institutions like you. And we have also equal number of participants, faculties and scholars, right? First of all, what I firmly believe, let's boil down the theme first. Right? I think that the Unicef is the best agency to tell you what to do because they have first-hand report and they have raw data. They have also, as what they claim and also do believe, that the whole world watches what Unicef publishes, right? So they should produce what kind of issue we should take forward for the research. First issue, theme. What is very, very pertinent, which is very worthy, that needs to be addressed at the earliest possible. Number two, right? When do you start? Like we have a schedule that 12th March at Society Premier, we all have to meet. Let's fix today, if not possible. Some kind of communication should be populated from Unicef itself to all the participants who are here, right? Number three, that the allocation of the places, institution and the resource persons who will be doing what, and there should be a proper amalgamation, like someone from Morocco, someone from Field, someone from RD, someone from scholars. They do participate in this kind of procurement of data, reaching to the community. What the people say that we should not play around the community. They are very sensitive. Let's pay maximum deliberate and very precision attention to the community. They should not be mere lab. They are not mere props. Like this Spider told that the Middle East to Global South are the turning down here the props. Like we'll play, we'll utilize, and we'll throw it away. Right? And we develop the point, develop the super theories. But for what? For whom? Right? This has to be really understood from our mind, and intent should be double. Right? Then there should be follow-up also action. When we are going to meet next, evaluation has to be also assessed critically. Right? This is not mere study. The theory we have been impart in the classroom. And semester winds up, they forget. We have been also forgetting, like students. This will not happen. There should be a kind of very calculative, systematic assessment. Like what is the lacuna, where we fall short, and how things will be addressed. I think that has to be taken stock of from time to time. Like industry, like Sobex is failing to gather the interest of suburban. Sobex is not sitting idly. Sobex is doing a first-hand study with the market research. What kind of detergent has to be revamped, whether there is a color package has to be there, whether the machine bloated detergents are different, those has to be understood. If there is, we are falling short of any sort of communication strategy, we need to rework and re-implement. The reassessment must be done. Thank you so much.
Sir, actually, I have a question before, action one. the communication in this room is also well documented. If you will see the number of participants. And all the men, they are discussing how to strengthen social behavior change landscape of women, children, adolescents in the business. Why men are not included? And then yes, so why we should, is it okay to include men also? Because it's not like that, like many times when we talk about positive messaging, like we always discuss strengthening our girls, like do this, and this, instead of teaching our boys, like how to behave. So should we incorporate, like men, like in this?
Positive discipline, positive masculinity is one area from which we work with adolescents. That's also part. But now we are looking at this action that we want to do is what are the areas we focus on? Maybe that will come if we are focusing on the theme of adolescent. What are triggering adolescent behaviors and what needs to be addressed is something on which it can come.
And even while coming, like we were discussing, at our university we are establishing lots of cohorts like Center of Innovation and Research, and we are also planning one, our campus, because our campus is very diverse. In date we have like film school, communication, mass communication school, and even if fashion school. So we can plan something. Because you can add, can throw some more light on this.
I have already communicated some points. First thing that for behavior change, understanding the behavior is very important. So understanding the community behavior, and when we are talking about understanding the community behavior, it is not that community behavior as a whole. Community behavior as an individual, because individuals ultimately make the community. So we need to understand that community behavior, and for this, research is a prerequisite. Emphasis on research, and this research is not that the traditional dissertations. It should be action-oriented research, applied research, problem-focused research, solution-focused research. So that is one thing. And then when we are communicating to the community, or with the stakeholders, communication should be accompanied by understanding. For example, it should be communication from understanding and communication for understanding. First, we need to understand the behavior, community behavior, and then we need to communicate for the people to understand the message. So that is very important. And it should be followed by evaluation. Whether the systematic changes, the incremental changes that are happening over the period of time. So it's a continuous process, but it has to be very well coordinated, planned, and scientifically done. Thank you.
So thank you very much so much. Again, at the end, I would highlight only one sentence so that it can be, I think, I will satisfy myself at least. So we have talked about the theme of message designing, content designing, medium of communication, everything. Sentence I would say that even if you cover all these things, the last part is that we have to think about the implementing part. If we are implementing in the right time, the right way, in the right place, then only we can get 100% results of social and behavioral change from the target audience. Thank you once again.
So actually we have to go in a very systematic manner. Like, first of all, we have to, while dividing the themes, because we are facing multiple issues. It's not a single issue. We have, while dividing the themes, we should have a clarity that why we are taking this theme. And if we are taking a theme, that time we have to understand it is regarding to which community and what is the need. So there were few things like who will be doing it, what we have to do it, where it will be done. That the same conventional 5 to 1 edge, we have to understand. That's first aspect. Second aspect, when we are trying to talk about who
who is doing and what, all these things. We have to understand the person who is doing it, whether the person has idea, interest and expertise in that area or not. Because randomly we can't address the issues. And the third aspect, we have to understand that typically, I may be having the idea to work in Malkangiri, I will have the interest, whatever it is, but I should have a knowledge relating to the communicative ecology of that locality. Communicative ecology is very important. Without understanding that properly, we can't actually think about the implementation aspect. So that is why understanding TA, target audience, and implementation aspect is dependent, as it is dependent upon communicative ecology. We have to be very careful while deciding all these things. And typically, by nature, all human beings, as we all are human beings by nature, sometimes we keep delaying the things. So we should decide a time frame, that within this time frame, we have to do this. By that, at least, we can address for the next step, or if anything is going delayed, we can address that properly. And timely reminders also should be there, even for us also, even for anybody. Because we have to consider this, that we have to do it. Thank you.
The way forward, I would like to suggest two things. First, rather giving a particular theme, we need to understand the deepest thematic requirement of particular institutions which is championing in that particular area. So that institution may explore what are the problems this community is facing. So that accordingly they can strategize or develop the entirely study. Second part, I would like to emphasize on the more encouragement and promotion required for ethnographic studies and action-based research. And that we need to promote, which bring the real insights from the ground. And later we can organize the workshop with the local ASA workers, the frontline workers, along with those who are working in the media, local media peoples. So at hard thing, I would like to emphasize that to create more impact, we need to incorporate those SBCC as a curriculum, part of the curriculum, so that message should go to the larger audience.
I have half a dozen points to say. So one is we have to look at students' research, and we have to promote students' research. How students can be engaged on SPCC or the related concerns. As per NEP now, UG students are also doing research in their fourth year. So UG dissertation, PG dissertation, and PhD thesis. So we can see how we can generate potential student research. Number two, if we can have a special course in SPCC. In fact, in our school we have 3 specializations: convergent journalism, communications management, and we have 3rd specialization, that is communication for social science. And we successfully ran that course for 2 years. And looking at the students' demand, we run the courses. And we can run such specializations in academic institutions like communication for social change and specialization. And SBCC is a course in that specialization in our school. So those kind of courses you can promote. Number 2. And then number 4, also we can integrate SBCC in other courses if we don't have a specific course like SBCC. Like in most of the departments we have development communication or communication for social change or similar courses. And we can have a good content on SBCC in those courses. Number 3, we can collaborate and we can explore external funding for research and SBCC, like Axis funding and other funding. We can explore that. Number 4, we can develop some tools
Recently, University of Hyderabad had developed 8 modules, and that's good reference. I think that's with the help of Unicef, they had organized that and they're doing that.
That is something which every university is implementing.
So that's a very good exercise from the Hyderabad beach, and that's a very good module for communication for social in the SPCC course. And we can also have some orientation, research orientation workshop, especially to do or explore such topic. That may include more ethnography, cancer-oriented, participatory research. So that orientation is very important. So anybody, if in mass communication student, immediate method is content analysis. We hardly go beyond content analysis. So that's a big problem in our research. And then regular meeting, last point is regular meeting and federation, responsible federation. Those things that can be done. Maybe this team which we meet today can be more productive and can show some tangible effects.
Actually, I think all the points are covered and most of the points are covered, but I would like to highlight some of the things. I totally agree with because what he said that because being a journalist for 3 decades and I think I have covered all the villages of Odisha, and in that perspective, my knowledge, I think the behavioral aspect is very diluted in the communities of the villagers, and this is different from different regions also. We can't say a general kind of thing for all the villages. Maybe the behavior of Malkand, the tribals of Malkand may be different from the tribal from the Balasore or the normal rural villages from Balasore or from Unicef. So I think whenever we design something like that, we have to first have a baseline study of those areas, like what exactly we are going to show them or we are going to tell them and how their response that thing. Because it's not very easy, as some from the ICMRC has highlighted the point in the sickle cell anemia and all that. I have also been to Balasore district and I saw that there are some something like their behavior is totally driven by their cultural aspects. So when you are touching their cultural aspect, you have to be very, very sensitive. Otherwise, they don't understand this thing. Yeah, they don't understand that. And what Abhika sir has highlighted that some person in Malkandgiri, like a tribal, if someone is going there, if they are not acquainted with their culture, even if a general talking also it reflects, yes, it needs to be reflect. Whenever you are talking to a Bonda tribe, though you don't know their language also, and they understand the normal Odia also, that your body language also reflects something, and they should not think that you are somebody or man out. So that thing we have to keep in view. Number one. Number two, I think, is there any way that we can advocate with the government level to include this social behavioral change into their normal curriculum? In the academic point of view, I am saying that because, very frankly speaking, before coming to the Unicef, I have also I did not have any clear-cut idea about there is a theme or there is a subject like behavior change communication, right? Because I have been so many years from the journalism field, I didn't know that. So I think many of them, those who are in a different stream, also they do not know that. So if you can advocate with the do some advocacy with the government level to include this behavioral change communication into their normal curriculum from the school level or from the college
with that and they understand that language.
See, what you are actually, these are the anecdotals. We actually want to scientifically prove it through the action research. That's what our academicians are coming from. Anybody from this side would like to, Santosh, something you would like to add? No? Before from the,
Hello, I'm Swarakita Mandal and I'm from public health background. And as I was focusing more on master's dissertation, I did my master's dissertation under Dr. Shubhendra Kumar Acharya sir at RMRC Bhubaneswar. And my population was university students, that is master's first year, second year, and PhD students. And my area was unhealthy food consumption and unhealthy food behaviors.
So that can be one of the topics key for us to discuss.
Yes. Unhealthy food items that include junk food, fast food, as you all know, ultra processed food, but unhealthy food behaviors are skipping meals, skipping breakfast, uncontrolled eating, picky eating, choosy eating, complete information behind those packets. So, even